Dear friends, welcome to a new episode of the show. I'm your host, Reza, and this is the Psyche in Human Body podcast. We are in episode number 16, and I'm very excited for today's episode. It's going to be with someone called Mohammed Reza. Not Reza, however, is very close enough. Reza will be talking to us about the importance of the family in the upbringing of children, and how does the family and the external environment affect the growth and the mentality of the child, and how can you break off from the pressure of holding the family name, crossing your way into an unknown world. I hope you enjoy today's episode. It's a very interesting conversation about life. This episode is going to be longer than the usual episodes. It's going to take almost like around 2 hours. However, I promise you, it's a conversation that you would want to hear and even share. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the future episodes. Bye-bye. Start off by saying thank you very much for accepting the invite for the podcast. I'm very grateful for your time today. Reza.
Thank you so much for having me, Reza. Pleasure.
You are most welcome. Reza, just for the audience to know, please give me a backstory. Who is Reza? And the floor is all yours.
Well, Reza is an Indian-Iranian mix. Coming from a family of theologians, Islamic scholars, which I don't really look part of, unfortunately or fortunately. Bit of mixed blood from Iraq, Iran, and India. Sports person all my life. Love studying. Started off as a personal trainer. Now working in business aviation. So it's been very diverse.
Yeah.
Fairly simple fellow, sticking to basics.
Sticking to basics.
Unconventional approach to many things in life.
What does sticking to basics mean to you?
I think discipline and routine is sticking to basics. Everybody has their morals and values, their upbringing, but that doesn't entirely shape a person because often we end up saying that, oh yeah, maybe he's had bad upbringing. I think no parents want their children to have bad upbringing. They do their best. We can't blame them. They do their best as per their generation. However, we have outside influences as well. And some people are easily impressionable and they pick up, like I've picked up habits which nobody's proud of. And I've managed to control those habits over time. That has to be self-actualization or self-awareness that you're sort of losing your way. And back in the day, it used to be all about the family name, right? And if you need to understand that, earlier on, we were addressed how, like, the son of XYZ, that's missing. And like, if you go even past 10, 20 years, it's sort of just disappeared. Back then, it used to be like, son of XYZ, son of XYZ, but everybody tries to build their own identity, which is great, but you can't forget where you come from. And everybody bears some responsibility of the name they represent, whether it be your nationality, your name, your family name. And it's equally important from the family you come from, but it's even more important, obviously, the family you're going to make. However, there is responsibility. Like I can come from a terrible family and then I can correct the family name. Or I can come from a great family and destroy the family name. So I think that self-responsibility nowadays is missing.
Do you think that we, let's say, as children of a certain family, have the obligation to carry the name in the way that the family is represented? Or should we, let's say, cut it in our own way?
To some extent, yes. You're not obligated. Nobody is going to force you. At the end of the day, you are your own human being. Nobody's forcing you. However, if it depends, for example, if you come from a family of negative people, I don't know, you come from a mafia background or you come from people who've done wrong things, you have an obligation, a moral obligation to do the right things. And if you come from a right background, for example, if you come from people who've been let's say, I can talk about myself. I know a few other people. They come from backgrounds of very religious or very disciplined, I should say, people. Some with extremist mindsets. You don't have to carry that forward. Because there is a saying of a very famous human being. There's a quote that your generation will be different from the generation coming next, and their generation will be different from the one after. So you can't expect them to live and treat life the same way. That acceptance is missing. As even as Muslims, we don't follow that. And it's not just a Muslim thing, it's a more human thing. Like people sort of put it down into one category. It's nothing like that. It's all about humanity at the end of the day. So you're not obligated, but to some extent you are. Nobody's forcing you. Like I can go out and drink every day if I want to. Nobody's going to stop me. But my conscience is going to stop me somewhere. That, you know, like at the end of the day, you are representing. If you're my father, you're my brother, you're a gem of a person. Yeah. And I go out and I'm a terrible person. Yeah. Somewhere I am obligated. Nobody's forcing me though. Yeah. But it should come from within. You're not forcing me. You'd be like, yeah, at the end of the day, he's my brother. He's his own person. But he does terrible things. And it's only to a point that it's tolerable. Because certain things, I know it's very harsh when I say things like that certain things are like, if you have cancer in your body, it's part of your body, but you're going to cut it away at some point. Yeah. If you have gangrene in your toe, you're not going to keep it. It's going to grow on you. You have to cut it off at some point. It might be very harsh. It might be very cold. But you need to understand that certain things need to be maybe let go.
Reza, you mentioned morality. Like, where do you think that morality in such a time that we are living in fits? Because wherever I look, people lack huge, let's say, part of morality. So is it ideal to always be moral with everyone?
That's a very tricky question because, see, it comes down to the nature of a person. For example, a dog's tail can never be straight, right? That's the nature of it. Yeah. So some people by nature, they're positive. Yeah. Some people by nature, they're negative. Some people by nature, they're violent. They can't see, even if they're like, you must have come across people who cannot see, like even there's something peaceful going on. Yeah. They want to mess it up because it's the inner chaos. They want to, because they just can't, they like to have that, I don't know, spice in life. Yes. But it leads to destructive things. They don't understand that. They go like, no, and then they hide behind such silly things, such as, oh, this is my Zodiac. Oh, this is how I am. No, you're obligated. There's a moral obligation to you to not be an idiot. Yeah. Not all Zodiacs of Leo are stupid. You're acting like one. Not all Zodiacs of Taurus are stubborn, but you're acting like one. So they hide behind these sort of walls. You can say that, oh, they won't take up responsibility. Like, oh, this is how I am. Oh, you know I'm a Taurus. Or you know I'm a Leo. Be like, no. What were you before all of these Zodiacs and character traits, personality traits were discovered? What were you? Just another human. You didn't even know all of these things. Yeah. You could have been a Taurus and a Leo and have the same traits. You could both be amazing people. But now they just sort of fall into these categories made by, I don't know, some genius. And I'm sure these things were made for positive things, the same like technology. It was made for the betterment. Unfortunately, it's not always positive. But it is what it is. But then at the end of the day, you are tied to some moral obligation, self-realization, self-awareness, situational awareness. I can be an atheist. I can be an extremist. I can be XYZ. I can agree to disagree with you. Yeah. I don't need to necessarily shove my opinions down your throat and be like, no, I am correct. Yeah. Be like, no, it's fine. You say like you can eat, I don't know, pork. That's perfect. Lovely. I'm sure it tastes delicious. I don't. Maybe I don't like it. I love drinking vodka. You love drinking whiskey. I can't force you to drink something else. I see. But then you can't say that, no, vodka's not nice, because for a lot of people, that's nice for them. Yeah. So it's also a certain point of view. And then that extremism ties back to a little bit of upbringing, little bit of situational people who you're surrounded with, influenced by. For example, like there's a download period, right? Like I'm sure you've read this and come across this, because while we are 0 to 7, 0 to 10, we're surrounded by the home environment. Now, a businessman's son, even though subconsciously he's there, he's in that download period, he's seeing his father, if he's involved in the situation. If he's just at home doing nothing, he's not going to be involved. If he's involved in the situation and he's going to his office from a young age, I have a prime example of one of my friends. He runs his dad's business now. From school, he used to go sit in the office till 7 p.m. After school, every day from 2 till 7, he's in the office. Even he doesn't know what he's doing there. He's running the entire business. He opened 3 more branches in Oman, in Ajman, in Pakistan. He expanded the business. Why? Because just in that download period, subconsciously, he was absorbing everything happening around him. Yeah. So when time came, he was calling the decisions.
Yes.
He was making the decisions. Now, same, his brother never bothered going to the office. Terrible decision maker in businesses. Yes, both are the same blood. One was exposed to situations subconsciously. He managed to absorb so many things. So now when he sits there, he knows exactly what he's doing because he's come across so many situations he's seen while growing up. So now he's subconsciously there. It's not that you can't learn these things. Of course, you can. But that's when you're genuine at something, and that's good. And then there's, of course, hard work, which requires, you need to go that extra mile, which many people don't.
Yes.
So a lot of that learning and that moral building, decision making comes from that download period. Like imagine if I'm surrounded by people who are taking terrible decisions till the age of 10, 15, even 20 throughout university. I've seen people in university, people I studied with in UAE. We went to England and I've seen them destroy their lives. They've gone to rehab. They've gone to rehab. I've done recreational things, which I'm not proud of, but it's part of growing up. If I didn't do that, I probably didn't know. I learned it a separate way. They learned it a totally separate way. They ended up going to rehab. They ended up destroying their lives.
Reza, you mentioned something now that we are, let's say, subconsciously, programmed since we are kids because of the environment. Do you think it's easy to draw our own way after that?
That surely depends on personality types, I think.
How can we discover, let's say, what do we really want if we are subconsciously programmed for something since childhood? Because it's going to be like embedded in us. How can we, let's say, discover who we truly are? What's your opinion?
You will feel something is not natural. You'll feel something is out of place. For example, when I was young and I was surrounded by all of these, intellectuals. My sister is a great student, straight A student. Mom was a teacher. Dad is in his own. I've lived in the shadow of greatness all my life. All right. And coming out of that shadow is
very tough.
Very tough. 12 generations of shadow we're talking about, just one. So, and then you find your own way because you feel something is not natural. And then, of course, there has to be some amount of support from home or your home team, rather. Your home team doesn't necessarily mean your blood relatives. It could be your childhood friend. And I'll tell you this later. So the home support has to matter a little bit because if you're forced at home, then all of a sudden you are robotic in your decisions. You're like, oh, no, I can't do this. Oh, no. But you're not questioning it. So you need to have that little inquisitiveness inside you to question, like, okay, fine, I'm doing this. So ask why. Why am I doing this? Yeah. And then if your elders around you can provide you the answers properly, you come out of that not scared factor. What happens is children ask a question, you shut them up, and now he's scared to ask questions. Yeah. So you cut off the ability to grow. Now suddenly, if it can be sometimes two parents are not the same, one is more open to answering questions, one has a totally different reaction to things, and that's totally fine. Parents will be parents. That's fine. You can't blame them. That's what they learned. That's what they're teaching you. However, some of them, they understand that, okay, fine, it's okay. He can ask questions. All right. And then the child also needs to sort of understand if he sees that the parents are reacting a bit aggressively. So there's a way to ask questions. Now, this thing comes naturally. For example, if I had to ask mom, because I knew she had a temper, so I'd be like, if you're not going to scold me, I'll ask you a question. So she'd be like, okay, go and ask. And then I'd ask. So you need to, and this was from a very young age, so you need to change that dynamic. Dad was very calm. Dad has always been calm. I'd ask him all sorts of questions. But then again, me and my father, we have a generational gap. I was a very late child. I was born when Dad was, I think, 52. So, mashallah, there's a big gap. Massive gap. So obviously, I don't ask him many questions because I'm shy, I'm not comfortable. He's my father at the end of the day. But then his approach to answering questions, he'll sit down, he'll explain, very calm, more approachable. Mom is approachable as well, but you need to navigate. With Dad, it's smooth sailing. So, but then that mix sort of made me question things at school. So I'd be asking my lecturers, be like, you can do a job and you'll do a job, and I'm doing a job. Jobs are fine. There's nothing wrong. But I would ask, how can I create a job? They wouldn't have an answer. So I was like, okay, that's fine. It's okay. I was into sports anyway and started earning money quite early because of sports, thank goodness. I wasn't a very good student, even though I love studying, but I don't know how that happened. But so I would always ask these weird questions. Same thing in university. I'd ask these weird questions. I'd be like, can you teach me something? 'Cause I'm terrible at finance and accounts. I don't know how to deal with numbers. I'm very solid with theoretical subjects. Management, marketing, psychology. I'm very, very comfortable with that. But accounts and finance, economics, I flunked twice. I had to ask in university. I had to ask them that I need to drop this subject because I'm not passing. And then they ended up giving me psychology. This is where I came across psychology. And it was already in the second semester. So they were like, you're going to do it on your own risk. If you fail this, you fail this. I was like, it's fine. But I'm sure I'll do well. And I did. So you ask these questions that how can I not do a job, maybe create jobs? Like you're doing the same thing. Like how can I learn from you when you yourself are teaching me? And you yourself aren't doing something. If you're such a great teacher, why don't you have your own institute maybe? So I touched a trigger over there. And I pissed them off, which is not good. So then obviously you need to understand that not all questions can be answered, and it's fine. That acceptance, you need to have that acceptance of things around you which are not under your control. I love reading books since I was quite young. And I came across this one thing, what I read. I'm forgetting who. It was said, if there is something under your control, why worry? And if there's nothing under your control, why worry? Because at the end of the day, if you can control something, that means you have a solution. What are you worrying about? But then there's something which is not under your control. Why are you worrying about? For example, people with anxiety, prime example. You make them sit in a taxi, drive the car fast, they'll ask you to stop. The car is being driven at maybe 80, 100 kilometers. You make the same anxious person sit in an aircraft, let them fly 400 kilometers per hour. They're very comfortable. Because all of a sudden, they know that they can't control the situation at all. And they feel that in a taxi, because they're paying, they have the power of authority to ask him to drive slowly. So you see, now suddenly if a police driver was driving a car fast, again, they wouldn't say anything because the power is taken away from them.
Man, this brings up a very interesting question. Do you think that people love to be followers? Or let's say, in a sense, to make it in a more comfortable question, do you think people need guidance?
I think everybody needs guidance.
In a sense where when you take the control out of them, they feel comfortable. Or compared to when they are, let's say, have the choice, they don't always feel comfortable because they're going to feel responsible for the outcome.
Very interesting. This can go so many ways.
Yeah.
Number one, we'll start with people who, you said guidance. Everybody needs guidance. From your Bill Gates to Einsteins to everybody, from prophets, everybody needed guidance. All right. So, but then acceptance to that guidance. Now, there were people who needed guidance, but they thought they were right. And then only to a point, they will choose and pick what topics they need to be guided on. And then they're like, oh, yeah, I know this.
Yeah,
I know the rest. I'll take care of it. However, like they say, half knowledge is worse than no knowledge.
Yes.
Because then you think you know everything, and then you start messing up things,
Very true.
which has happened all over history. throughout history. So guidance is important, yes. Then there's people who love to be guided because they don't want it. You take away that responsibility factor, and they're like, I'm fine as a follower, and that's fine. That's great as well, because everybody's designed and created a different way. You were a horse, I was a donkey. I can't be a donkey, you can't be a horse, you can't be an elephant. All of these people, animals, everything is created differently. Similarly, humans. So some people love not being responsible. Two reasons, because number one, they're scared of the backlash they might receive or whatever. Another thing, they just want to work stress-free. Perfectly fine. Then there's people who like to feel that pressure. Be like, all right, put me in this and maybe I'll do something good, maybe I won't. But I'll be there. Again, two reasons. They like the attention and they thrive under it. Some people love thriving without the spotlight. Brilliant. Some people need that spotlight.
That's right. True.
Dennis Bergkamp never scored big goals, but he was a big match player. For Arsenal, he was a legend. Similarly, so many players, they'll function in the background, and then when time comes, all of a sudden they're performing. Bamboos, you know that, right? Growing and then suddenly shoot up. So the growth was always happening. Look at trees. They show very little, but the roots are down. Something is always happening. So again, like, people love to thrive in both situations. It's totally fine. There's nothing wrong in that. However, now coming to the last part where the response, like people who don't want to take up responsibility. Great people, leaders, captains, in school, teams, everybody. They don't want to take up the responsibility. They don't want to take the hit. There could be various reasons to that because, again, situation to situation. For example, they feel that, for example, I don't know, they have endorsements or they're supported by someone or something and they don't want to lose that monetary factor. So many things linked to that. Family, friends, children, I don't know, X, Y, Z, lose your job. And then there comes a mindset that they don't care. Like, I'll lose a job. I'm confident enough. I'll find another one. I'll make another one. I shifted so many jobs. It's not something nice. It's not something nice. Because, again, situation to situation. Some places I was super comfortable working because I was delegated. I was delegated. Like, Reza, there you go. This is yours. Go do what you want. At the end of the day, numbers matters. Perfect. Got it. Done. I was one of the youngest fitness managers. I was one of the youngest assistant sales manager. I was heading a company up until my recent job change. I was operations manager for a company of petrochemicals. I never knew what petrochemicals do. I never knew what is base oil. I didn't know what is bitumen. All your wires and industrial rubber is made from RPO, rubber processed oil. I had no idea about all of this. So my boss, he heard that I'm finishing. I knew him somehow. And in 2018, I was doing my MBA. And he said, what are you doing nowadays? I was like, I'm looking for a job. I'm jobless. So I decided to do my MBA and I'm looking for a job. And prior to that, I was in Lebanon. So yeah. So you see, like, it doesn't make sense. What am I doing in Lebanon? So anyways, I finished my MBA and he said, okay, fine. You know what? I'm setting up a company and I want you to run it. I was like, but I don't know what you do, right? Base oil. What is that? He's like, you just told me you finished an MBA. Sit down and do some research. That hit me. He questioned my ability right there. I just finished MBA. I should be able to do market research. Sat down, did it. I was heading operations for 3 years for that company.
Tell me about your experience and work journey. Where did you start?
Started by working promotional jobs like any other Gulf child because I'm born and raised here. So we used to do promotional.
I did that as well.
I'm sure everybody in Middle East, everybody's done that. Promotional jobs. IFA, JITEX, sorry. Yeah. So
Adipec,
so all of these. So started from there. Eventually started freelance personal training because my dad has always been a fit person. So I think since a young age, I was into fitness and into sports. I played cricket, hockey, football, field hockey. So then in 2011, when I came back from England, and that's also a funny story because I'd never managed to finish my bachelor's.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
And you take the master's. That's interesting.
Yeah. But because work experience helps. Work experience helps.
Okay.
Work experience goes a long way.
All right.
So Came back 2011, started bodybuilding. Left fitness, went into a different complete area of fitness, bodybuilding. Started that. Started training my friends. My friends started seeing results. So they're like, why don't you freelance? I'm like, okay, started freelancing. That was the first job. Freelancing, came across one of my clients, and they introduced me to one of the, I think, best general managers in fitness right now. Most recently won an award, Nikesh. I'm thankful to that guy because I don't even know if he remembers me right now, but he groomed me. He groomed me how to close deals, how to talk, what to say, when to say, how. Because he was young as well. He's from Zimbabwe. So he took me onto his team, started training. He helped me. He told me, do a dietitian's course, nutrition, get qualified. I did everything in the book. TRX courses, Viber, kettlebell. I have this extremist factor, which is good and bad. So if you do something, do it entirely, or else don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't just hang midway. You're doing something, put in that effort.
How does that reflect on you in everyday life? Do you think it's always a good thing to always be a perfectionist, or do things to the utmost? Let's say always.
Put in your effort to the utmost. I can study physics. I can't become Einstein. I can study fitness. I can't become Arnold. Mike Menzer. I can't be those guys. But I can put in effort.
Yes.
There's two types of people. One who like to be busy. They'll walk around the office extremely fast. Be like, what are you doing? You're walking around, not one call, not one email. Why are you pretending to be busy? You're either busy or you're not. It's that simple. You don't need to pretend. It's fine. Maybe they follow that, wing it. What's it called? Fake it till you make it.
Yes.
And that's fine. That's cool. That's brilliant. But that doesn't apply in all situations. You need to know how to think. Like Jordan Peterson said, not everybody can think, which is so true. You might think that you're thinking, but you're thinking all the wrong things. You're going into depression.
Yeah, very true.
Or you're faking it a bit too much. Keep it natural. Keep it natural. Just let it be. Things will come. Tom Hardy. Action, passion, noble intention, which is so true. He said it now. There's people, prophets, there's people, so many people across history, they've said these things before. Be passionate about what you do. That means you're putting in effort. Be noble. Have a noble intentions. Your niyyah should be clear. Have that noble intention and action. Many people have a noble intention, but there's no action.
Very true.
Many people have the dream, but they're just sitting at home. There's no passion. So you see, one factor is always missing. Life is like a dish. You can't boil water and expect to eat soup. It has to be cooked at the right temperature. So many ingredients, so much preparation. And then after the preparation comes the hard work, where you need to clean the dishes. So it's not just one aspect. There's so many things. Like I can become, great at something. That's just one aspect of it. What's greatness is that if you remain there. Nokia, they were amazing. Where are they now? They're still in the market. They're making smartphones. Nobody's buying it because you didn't change at the right time.
Didn't adapt.
You were amazing at what you did. And even now, yes, you're bringing out good phones, but you've lost it. That time is gone. That era is gone. So you need to put in the effort. Once you reach up there, you need to maintain yourself up there. That is when greatness comes. For example, me and you, we are all our minds, our bodies are like weapons. For example, let's take a sword. Cool. Take a sword. What happens if we just keep the sword there? Amazing. When it was new, it's amazing. Right? We leave it there for 10 years. What happens? Gets rusty. Suddenly we need to use it one day. What happens? It breaks. Doesn't work. Same like our mind and our body.
Yes.
We need to keep improving. Need to keep ourselves fit. The mind, the body need to keep learning something or the other. It's Hazrat Ali's call that, again, like I said, times will change. You need to change with time. There's a very different aspect to this conversation, hopefully next time, but you need to keep up with the times. It has nothing to do with your religion, your background, your race, nothing. You need to change. You need to adapt. Do not think tomorrow will be the same as today. Do not think 10 years later it will be the same. People used to laugh. There was a certain person I knew, I still know. They laughed about Dubai, that Dubai would bust one day.
Oh.
And because many people can't digest the fact that Dubai became Dubai in 25 years.
Yes.
That is so hard for them to digest. And because they live in first world societies, and it's fine, it feeds their ego, it's okay.
Yeah.
So they think that what they're doing over there, and they're paying taxes and blah, 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 and that's a good life. Perfect, that works for you. Dad told something. He said, Dubai is the type of city, when I was jobless, he said, Dubai is the type of city, my father's been here 48 years now, mashallah. Mm-hmm. He said, Dubai is the city, if you hold its hand with a noble intention, it will never let you go. And you must have come across so many people whose parents have been here for time, they've lost their jobs and they've never gone back to their countries. And they've stayed here because of what? Because of the, I don't know, barakah that this land has, the leaders have given, I don't know what it is, that somehow or the other, we come back again. I had a friend, my childhood friend, his father been through a lot, his father's been through a lot, and now he's working in Emirates. His father was in jail. Unfortunately, fell asleep behind the wheel, crashed into a campsite. Disaster happened. Didn't have blood money to pay. Stayed in jail. Children couldn't go to school. Long time. Many people would have left the country and gone, right?
Very true.
They're still here and they're working in lovely places now. They're supporting the family.
The wheel have turned somehow.
Yeah, somehow. Because there's something about this land that, I don't know. Many people don't, coming back to the point that, Dubai is going to go bust. And I met that gentleman in 2018. And I just casually put it into the conversation. I was like, you remember you said something about 2008 and, Dubai would go bust.
Do you remember those days?
Yeah, I was like, you remember that? Because he's also into real estate and stuff. And I was like, you remember you said that? Nothing's going to happen to Dubai. If something would happen, it's going to happen regardless. Murphy's law, that what can go wrong will go wrong. But that does not mean that we don't try. Everybody knows that you bought a laptop. This can mess up at some point. But you know the risk of it. But you still bought it. You have a car. You know you're going to get fines. You know you're going to have so much maintenance costs, blah, blah. But you still have it. What can go wrong will go wrong. If we're in a car, if we're in an airplane, we're going to crash. Everybody knows that. 0 survival rate.
Yeah.
We still fly. Even though we know what can go wrong will go wrong, but that situation is not under our control, so why worry?
Very true.
So it's just perspective, I think. It's just how you look at life. Some people have called me laid back at work, even though they don't know me. I might have a laid back face. I might have a laid back attitude. But my work ethic speaks for itself. My numbers have spoken for themselves. I've studied marketing, psychology, fitness, MBA. I'm doing an IATA course very soon because I don't want to be an outsider in aviation. I've done a course while doing my MBA, because I used to give brilliant presentations. This is not me saying, my lecturer said that.
Not me.
Not me. That's not me. So they somehow convinced me to do a teacher's course, a lecturer's course. So I did that. So now I'm qualified to do lectures in universities for management and marketing. What else? And I'm doing the IATA course I just mentioned.
And quite a diverse experience, like in too many different fields.
Yes.
Do you think that's a good idea?
I think the best idea is, there's a saying, very interesting saying, Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yes.
The entire saying is, Jack of all trades, master of none, however, better than the master of one. A king, a queen, a soldier. For example, let's take a director of a company. Let's take a CEO. Let's take our CEO. Started from ground zero. Now he's the CEO. Operations, bus driver. What has he not done? He understands the business like the back of his hand. He closes his eyes. He knows what's happening. So how is he the master of one suddenly? He's not. He's the master of so many things. He's a jack of all trades. Is he not? The moment you become a master of one, which is great, that's fine, works for many people, you limit yourself. suddenly you've limited yourself. Let's look at, I think this is just a propaganda of sorts, because the master of one thing, maybe it's good in certain cases. However, you cannot be a master of one. For example, people say like women, princess. Mm-hmm. The term princess is so misunderstood in today's time. I'm not going to touch anything. Do you know what princesses did back then? They went to wars. They were highly competent, multilingual. They learned languages. They knew house. They knew art of war.
They led armies. They used to lead armies.
They were strategists. They were wearing so many caps.
Yeah.
Look at guys now. Like, you know, there's so many, like, I know so many people, they'll just sit and complain and whine. And they're like, oh yeah, you know, I can't do this. Be like, maybe you can't, but let's find something else. But they don't want to do that as well. You know, they don't want to find a solution. And they're like, no, I'm just comfortable in doing this. Be like, okay, that's fine. You're comfortable with doing this. Brilliant. But that's limiting yourself.
Yes.
You know?
Why do you think the gears are shifting in mentality? Because this didn't used to be the way back then. People used to, let's say, always go out there and put in the effort and try and work hard. Where do you think we are going down the slope? Why are we going down the slope mentally? We are being more of a laid back, as you mentioned, let's say, kind of society compared to before.
Because, see, human nature is such that we try to make things comfortable for ourselves, and then we make it so comfortable that we become soft. For example, I read this, I don't know how true this is, I read this somewhere, that back in the day, because we used to sleep on hard surfaces, the curvature of the spine was different. It was more like a J. It was more like a J.
Yes,
I'm sure you must have, and now it's become like an S. Because we started sleeping on soft surfaces. And it's okay, it was maybe comfortable. Maybe it was for somebody who was maybe sick or something, to give them comfort. And however, it's great, it works. I'm glad for all the progression we've made, right? It's amazing. But if we don't keep ourselves in touch with the primal instincts, that's terrible. So lovely, I came all the way from Dubai, I drove a car. Otherwise, if I walked, it would take me, I don't know, 3 days.
Yeah.
Cool. People back in the day, they used to travel so much. It was nothing for them. They would walk, they would do horse riding, and then it was like, yeah, it's okay. So life has become very comfortable, which is great. We need to make life a bit harder for ourselves in order to maintain that instinct, to maintain that hunger. The moment you are satisfied, you've lost your touch.
Very true.
The moment there's a hungry person, ask him to do something. It's not going to move off his chair. It's not. But there's a hungry person. He'll want to do everything.
Yes.
Like, you know, you need to have that hunger. And this goes in life, in food, everything. Another great person in history said, I'm sure you know him, that he said, when you get off the table, you should still be feeling hungry. Because the stomach is divided into 3, there's space for air, water, and food.
Yeah.
So you need to have all these 3 things accommodating in that place, and you should still be hungry. For example, there's a very famous battle which happened during Ramadan. And imagine, so we don't have energy. Cool. Let's take it like this. So people, you don't give them food, 1 meal, 2 meals, they'll feel, I don't have the energy. Yeah. That happens, right? Now check this out. Back in the day, people didn't have food, much food. We're going out for a hunt on low energy. And then we're hunting on low energy, or we're doing battle on low energy, and we're still smashing it. So is the other team. They're smashing it as well. And then somehow we come on top, and then we sit down and we eat to our fill. Not all the time, only sometimes. Most of the time we're hungry. Because back then we somehow thrived on adrenaline.
Yes.
That is so important. People don't understand that. We wake up in the morning, boom, fill ourselves with food, and then we're lazy the whole day. No. Hunger is so important. It's super important. You need to feel hungry all the time, because then you'll be switched on, because then your body, your hormones, I think you know these things much better than I do. Your hormones are firing. Yeah. They're all in place. They're like, okay, let's do this. Now we're in optimal condition to work.
Survival mode, that we need to do something.
You eat food. If you always keep eating food, brilliant. Burn it off. Yeah. Burn it off. Like it's like a car, and you just keep filling in petrol even though you're not driving it. Keep filling in petrol. What's going to happen? Nothing. The petrol's going to overflow. It's wasted. Technically, it's getting wasted. So your energy, the same food you're eating, is being wasted.
Very true.
7 deadly sins, right? Gluttony is one of them.
Very true.
They talk about jihad. It's nothing like that. Jihad al-nafs, which they talk about. It's self-discipline.
Yeah.
So your jihad is against your desires. There's a massive steak and I can eat the whole thing. However, I choose to eat a certain amount. Discipline. Discipline goes a very long way in studies, in family, keeping a family, work, fitness, diet, anger, everything. Everything. Discipline is one of the pillars of life. If you don't have discipline, you're a walking train wreck.
I think that discipline, especially in this time, has to be like a pillar for everyone. Why is that? Because now everyone is looking for, let's say, the fast solution. They are looking for the easy path, let's say. And I think that greatness or something which is valuable is not going to be reached without consistency. And the new generation nowadays, because of social media maybe, or because of the, let's say, laid-back mentality, are always looking for the easiest way out without putting the effort of consistency that people used to put, and that's why they reach greatness.
Unfortunately, like we said, right? Technology is like humans, we've made life so comfortable for us that the difficulty thing, that aspect has been taken away. There's so much of consumption of information on our fingertips without understanding it. You get it? Especially because these short videos and stuff, and then just something out of context taken and thrown at you.
Yes.
And then you absorb it without understanding the entire text.
Very true.
Without understanding the concept behind it. And you've consumed it, and now you're sticking to it. Easily impressionable.
Yeah.
Zero thought process. Zero thought process put in behind. And impulsive. Oh, yes, oh, boom. He did that, I can do it. Be like,
you don't know the whole story.
Exactly. You don't know the whole story. On social media, nothing is real. It's a movie. It's a movie. People don't understand that. People just go like, oh, they just get easily influenced. And now see, this is not from upbringing, going all the way back to the download period. This is not upbringing.
Yeah.
This is the environment around you. And what you choose to, this is why we're Ashraf al-Makhluqat, because we have the power to think and make decisions. And we make the most terrible decisions somehow. Somehow we make the most terrible decisions as humans. But that's human nature. But you need to know where to have that control. Then the discipline aspect comes in.
Yeah.
I can be really motivated today. January 1st, gym is filled.
Yes.
Everyone's in the gym. 2 weeks later, you're gone. To build a habit, you need 21 days, 18 days. You need to be consistent. Like you said, has to be consistency in everything we do.
Yes.
In everything we do, you fall in love, you have a relation, you have children. You don't just have children and be like, okay, they'll grow themselves. No, that is where the power of the mother and father, there's all of these goals which people see. They'll see on social media, 2 young people caption goals. Okay, maybe not everybody has had a good family, and I respect that and I understand that. But majority of us have had the privilege to have parents, right? And live old age. Okay, fine, if not parents, grandparents, somebody. We have those real life examples around us, yet we will see some random thing on social media, goals. Be like, that's not goals. That's fabricated. That's
an illusion.
It is an illusion. It's a very big illusion. And it's like a mirage, right? And then it's going to disappear soon.
Yeah.
When shit hits the fan, that partner of yours or that ideal job of yours, everything's going to go away. So you need to be prepared. Now suddenly you see you're prepared for so many things all the time. You need to be prepared. And that preparation will come through discipline. That discipline will come through consistency. It's a habit. You go to the gym, maybe, I don't know if you do fighting or something, nobody likes to get beaten up in the gym. Yes. However you do it. People in the army, they go through vigorous training, terrible training. They get bullied, they get everything. That's what made them. Like there are certain places in the world amazing to, like for example, we'll give an example of the Middle East. Brilliant place for women. Amazing. safe, secure. My girlfriend, wife, mother, sister, children can go out late night, come back home, safe. I was in England, I almost got stabbed.
Oh, yes.
As a guy. If I didn't do kickboxing, I would have probably been stabbed.
Yeah.
So, and women are even more vulnerable, correct? Because they're not as strong as men. I'm not being feminist or anything. I'm not being, misogynist or something, but it is what it is.
Yes.
It is what it is, right? Because women are slightly more delicate, unless and until she's a professional fighter.
Mm-hmm.
So, but men are vulnerable to danger as well.
Yes.
Almost got stabbed, but as a man, I would rather grow up in a rough society than a soft society. But as a woman, you need to keep them protected and not be exposed to dangers, because that's history. Women were still working. Women were doing amazing things in the Middle East, everywhere. History proves it. It's not me saying. For example, there was a great businesswoman in the land of Arabia known as Bibi Khadija.
Yeah.
Brilliant, one of the richest women, blah, blah, woman empowerment. So everything is there. It's just about reading. People don't want to read. Something thrown at them out of context,
yes,
absorb it, not question it at all. Disaster. Like, for example, I have very interesting tattoos. I have a cross across my chest, but I'm a Muslim.
I wanted to ask actually about that. How, because you mentioned that you grew up in a theologian, let's say, family, and you told me that it's a Muslim family. So I'm pretty sure that going out of the norm, let's say,
yes,
has a story.
Well, it's interesting because around me, I was always surrounded by these very religious people and, amazing people. Yeah. Great minds. Even religion is very misunderstood. Let's take Taliban. Cool. Are they a representation of Muslims? No. Their representation is of a mindset which works for them, which is cool. That's extreme. No religion is extreme. Zero. People say they'll take out verses out of context from the Torah, Zabur, Injil, and the Quran, and they'll be like, oh, but it's said over here. Be like, yes, but did you read around it?
Yeah.
Okay. You need to do the reading around it in order to understand. Okay. So it's just like saying that, what do you want to do? I want to be happy. Great. How? By earning money. Brilliant. How? So they know certain things and they negate everything else.
Yeah.
Without zero thought process.
They cherry pick.
Exactly. They cherry pick. One of the biggest jokes about me as a Muslim, we came across was probably the forced marriage thing.
Yeah.
Right? But there's so many terms and conditions behind it. You can't just go. So you see cherry picking.
Yeah.
It's made a joke, right? And see, unfortunately, because of such interesting characters, they forget that they're representing something, moral obligation. They're representing something at the end of the day, and you're making a joke of the entire thing.
Yeah.
So one thing leads to the other. Like, for example, coming back to my family, I'm sure that, my parents have been disappointed at some point. Maybe even now. I hope not. But from one aspect, maybe they've been disappointed. Maybe they would, like any other parent, they would want, you to follow in the footsteps, which is fine, which is a great mindset, There's nothing wrong in that. If you're a doctor, you would expect somewhere or the other your son to be a doctor.
Sure.
All right? Because that's what you've known all your life.
Yeah.
Correct? And there's no blaming you. However, your son was meant to fly. He would become a doctor, but he would become a shit doctor.
Yeah.
But maybe he's a great, sports person. That's where suddenly the realization sets in for your family. They're like, you know what? It's all right. So this is where, alhamdulillah, I'm grateful that my parents didn't force me. However, I went to Islamic school and I was a great student. So, yeah.
I'm just saying. Let's keep it on the record, just saying.
Yeah, because in order to and that also, from a research point of view, because you need to be open to all these stories. Don't look at it from a religious point of view. There is religion in everything, all around us, from Adam till Muhammad. Religion is filled all around us. All right? But how you perceive that, you can either take it with a pinch of salt, you can be extreme about those things, or you can learn, absorb it. Be like, oh, you know what? Wow, this story. Oh, wow, this story. Read about them. I don't know if you know about Hazrat Khidr, the wanderer. Now, that gentleman has been across not just religions. He's been across Romanian mythology, blah, blah. He's known as the wanderer.
Yeah.
Because apparently he's going to live till the end of time. So there are stories, there's this funny stories about him meeting Moses and those three things, like, you know, Moses came across him and he was like, I'll be your disciple.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, but I don't want you to question me and my ways. And Moses was like, okay. So they go on, because back then, people who were smart were the ones who traveled. There was not much literature to study, but they had the experience. The Ibn Sinas and all of these, they traveled. Ibn Battutas, they traveled. You get it? So they had the knowledge. So he traveled with Khidr. With Hazrat Khidr, he traveled. They came across a town where there were ships, beautiful ship. He made holes in it and they moved on. And Moses went like, wow, why did you do that? That was a brilliant ship. He's like, I told you not to question. He keeps quiet. They move on. They come to another city. Beautiful young man slays him. It's like, you killed somebody. He's like, do you want to be my disciple or not? Do not question me. It's like, okay. They go to another place. There was a wall fallen down. He builds up that wall. He's like, in a ruin, why did you build up that wall? He's like, our journey finishes here. I've asked you very nicely. Okay? There was a certain reason. Now let me tell you why. The ship was on the land of a tyrant, and he would take all the well-built ships, and tomorrow he was going to come and take the best ships for his own trade and not pay money. So I made his ship defected. So after the inspection is over, he can fix it and he can use it for his personal. Why did you slay that person? He would be a menace to society and his parents and bring a bad name. So you removed a menace of society. And then why did I build that wall? Because there was treasure hidden for the orphan people who were staying over there. So I cleared a way for them. So certain things, you see, now life in the short thing becomes like a tragedy, right? Charlie Chaplin said, Rowan Atkinson quoted that. Life is a tragedy in the short term, but a comedy in the long shot. So you need to sit back and understand what happened. Why, what was said. You might have positive experiences, you might have negative experiences. 10 years down the line, everything is a story, everything is funny.
Speaking of which, like, do you think then everything is set? Or do our decisions play a role in navigating through life and getting to the story that, let's say, is meant to be?
There's two aspects to that. One is the universe, the religious aspect that, yes, everything is written, which is great. People are living with that mindset and that's perfectly fine. Personal experience, personal opinion. I think our decisions play a very big role. And then at the end of the day, this is so funny, right? Something good is happening. We forget the universe and God. Cool. And then something bad is happening and they're like, God, why? He's like, God is like, dude, you didn't remember me through your good time. So why are you remembering me in your bad time? And then obviously, again, you can, let's remove the religious aspect. So you make a bad decision, take responsibility, you grow out of it. Because your decisions and your habits and your discipline, what you do day in, day out, eventually it leads to greatness. Whether it be good habits, whether it be bad habits. I was on the verge of destroying my life through my amazing habits.
Also,
drinking, smoking, not focusing, became fat. I was 107 kilos. I was a trainer and I became so unfit. I used to feel disgusting looking at myself in the mirror. Right? And there was a time I was 105 kilos, fit, 8% body fat, athletic, peak performance, peak fitness. What happened? I shut on myself. Destroyed my life, got into the bad habits. And if that self-realization would not hit me from within, I would have probably continued doing that. Sense of responsibility, ownership of actions. There's so many things. Discipline. Over time, over 2 years, now I'm 79 kilos. My friends can't believe it. They thought that Reza's not going to come back from this. he's too heavy, he's got too many injuries, I've got scoliosis, my knees are messed up, I can't run, there's so many things, movements which I can't do. However, I managed. Because you work around your obstacles, you know, you work around those things. And that comes through discipline. Discipline, healthy eating, research, what works for you. It's not a one-size-fits-all. Everybody has a different thing. So you need to understand what works for you, and that can come through habit. Habit comes through discipline. You need to do the boring stuff in order to.
True.
You need to do that boring stuff. Stretching, you need to do the stretches in order to make the ligaments inside stronger in order for you to push heavier weights. People don't understand. I didn't understand that. If you want to study, you need to do the boring stuff. You need to sit and revise. You need to understand. You need to do some form of boring stuff in order to become. Nobody sees you become great at what you are. Nobody saw your journey that you went through. They see the final product. Rada, amazing.
Yes. How did you get there? Okay, let me tell you. Oh, no, there must be a secret.
They're like, oh, and then, you know, there must be a shortcut.
Yes.
Because social media is just going to show you the achievements. It's not showing you the grind, the hard work, the failures.
True.
There's so many failures that you go through. Not everybody. Yes, I'm sure there's so many people who are, you know, everything clicks. Brilliant. Alhamdulillah, happy for them. And then people take that out of context and they're like, oh yeah, but he's doing it as well. It's like, but you're not him. You're not him. You don't live the same life. You don't have the same habits. You don't have the same mindset. You don't have the same approach to life. There's so many factors. There's so many things surrounded with people don't focus on. They'll just be like, oh yes, Rolls Royce, brilliant. I can be that. Yes, you can if you try. You won't be a Rolls Royce. You'll be your own. Something of your own. You will be 100%. If you have the discipline, if you have the habit, if you have the mindset to do it, if you have an intention, if you have a negative intention, you'll reach somewhere in the short term. 100%. You'll reach somewhere. But then there's going to be repercussions. And those repercussions are like a stone thrown into a lake, and those ripples, they go really far. Really far. It might not affect you, might affect your generation. So again, moral obligation, understanding of how far this can go. Many people don't have that. They just go like, okay, it's just me, which is fine. You need to be anani to some extent. You need to be selfish. You need to be self-obsessed. You have to be, because if you're not, then again, but you see, people get carried away.
Yes.
You need to know when to stop. It's good. Extremist, everything I do, I try to do as much as I can. It has its plus, it has its minus, but over time, I've understood that, you know, I need to channel it in such a way that I do more positive than negative. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to end up harming myself, and then suddenly the ripple effect, everybody connected around me is going to get affected. My job is going to get affected. Maybe my colleagues will get affected. My friends will get affected. My family will get affected. So now suddenly, because of one stupid decision, I messed up everything. And see, life is like a crack. Life is like a crack in a mirror. Once that mirror cracks, the cracks keep growing. Now we have to be more and more careful as we... Life is going to shatter at the end of the day. We're all going to shatter. All right. We're all going to die someday. So those cracks keep growing, and we become more and more careful of how we're progressing with life.
How are we holding our life, let's say, in a sense?
Exactly, because the cracks are just growing. Sometimes they're just growing, you're not even doing anything. And they're growing.
Yes.
You know, maybe your parents die. Tragedy. That was not under your control. Another crack grew.
Yeah.
So life is like that mirror. Yeah. You have to be so careful. And that being careful does not mean you have to be a coward. No. Again, you see, this can be misinterpreted. You have to be careful. People say, oh, yes, I can take a risk. Brilliant. It's about taking calculated risks. So you see how out of context, practice makes perfect. Yeah. But if you're practicing the wrong thing, how is it making it perfect?
You're building a bad habit, let's say. You're building,
So you see that people take things out of context. These things were said for the betterment. But then some minds, they go over the top. They take it into the wrong direction entirely. And then Every society gets affected, people get affected, lives get affected. So many things. So it's a lot of discipline. You need to control your mind. You really need to control your mind, how you think, which is not easy, of course. Like, for example, people have anxiety and stuff like that, and people can be affected and they can't control their mind because there's a hormonal, emotional ride which they go on, and which is fine. And you need to respect that, because you need to be open and accepting to people around you. Not everybody can think like you do. Nobody can. You need to respect others. For example, many people, especially in workplaces, they go like, "Oh, why can't you do this, man? This is so easy." You're like, "Mate, it's easy for you, but not for me." And you need to respect that. Maybe some things are easy for me, and then I start throwing it on you. How would you feel?
Yeah.
You know? And that happens a lot. And especially because, for example, acceptance. Many people, just because of the age factor, they think somebody younger than them. You must have come across, you're fairly young.
Of course.
So I come across that as well.
Yeah.
Because you're young. And then suddenly, you're like, "Oh yeah, he doesn't know anything. He's so young." We're like,
let me speak first.
you're like, "Yeah, it's fine." But it's so funny that we're the same age and I'm at the same designation. So now I think you are not growing.
Yes.
And you're stuck in the same place.
And that's like, it's such a hard blow for the people who have been, let's say, for a while, because they cannot accept that someone with no prior experience or less experience can come and sweep up the job.
And it's an ego, it's a hit to the ego. However, this is where, mentors and great leaders come in. You be it your manager, be it anybody. You're like, they take you under your wing and they're like, "Okay, you know what? I'll teach you.
Yeah.
You're good, you're brash, brilliant. We need that attitude in the beginning. So you can be brash with that mirror in the beginning. But as you grow, you understand, I can take this decision. This maybe we'll let it slip. It's all right. It might affect. It's all right. I'll let it go." So your entire attitude changes. And of course, people around you, they play a very big role. Like I said, the home team matters.
Yeah.
Might be your friends. Not all your friends are your friends. Like, for example, they might not be happy. Somewhere inside, they might have some envy. Everyone's come across such friends. And that's fine. That works with them. That's their nature. That's their dog's tail. It's not going to become straight. That's fine. That's their fitrat. That's okay. But my fitrat is different. It wasn't from my parents. It wasn't. I made that because I was meant to be like that. I was a horse. You're a tiger. It's cool. It's fine. I accept the way you are. Brilliant. You can. I have friends who've done a lot of things and we're not friends anymore. And I don't wish them bad. I want you to eat as well, just not at my table.
Yeah.
Please eat. Bismillah. Have what you want. Just not with me.
I don't want you to be in the circle. Let's say.
Just not on my table. You can be sitting next to me. It's fine. So, you're on a different table where we're working. Maybe we're colleagues. But it's like a team, right?
Yeah.
You can have colleagues which you don't get along with, but it's a team. You work towards the goal. So you need to keep things professional. However, if they're outside your workplace, I don't need to meet them. I don't need to do anything with them.
Yeah.
They can be doing well in their life. Brilliant. I wish you all the best. Just don't be in touch with me. It's fine. Live your own life. Whatever you're doing, great. Keep it up.
How hard it is to rip the patch off from people who you had in life and have, let's say, a huge connection and, let's say, emotional attachment. Do you think sometimes we have to rip the bandage off, or do we have to live with it?
You need to calculate if it's worth it or not. Every relation comes with a cost. Everything comes at a cost.
Yeah.
Relations, family, parents. It's not in a bad way.
Yeah.
It might sound that I'm being very cold, but it's not. It's the realization that everything comes at a cost, If you have a wife, she's left her family. She's come to you at a cost. She's in a relation with you at a cost. It's her decision made herself. Nobody forced her. You have children. They come at a cost of time, money, responsibilities, so many things. And it's fine. People don't talk about these things. They run away from these topics. There's nothing wrong. You have children, they're going to be expensive. We were such expensive burdens. I say I was a burden on my parents.
Yeah.
With my stupid habits and everything. But our parents, they gave us the best life, even though they did not live the best life, maybe, you know. They were humble people. They gave us an amazing life. Study what you want, drive a nice car. Mom, I want shopping. I want this. Dad, this. Yeah. They're giving you everything. And then you grow up to be an ungrateful wretch and you blame them that they forced you into something? No. Take up responsibility, man. Even they feel that they have some right over you. Because you're in this world, had they not, you know, come together, have that responsibility, have that moral obligation. Take up that responsibility. Take it on your chin like a man. Be like, yes, it's all right. It's okay. They have a different mindset. Brilliant. It worked for them. I respect it. I don't agree with it, but it's okay. They're my parents. It's fine. My best friend doesn't smoke, drink, never did anything in his life, fell in love with one girl, got married. Me, terrible. Think I'm a terrible human being. You know, like if you consider from societal norms, I was called so many things. And that's fine. It's okay. If that's how you see me, that's how you see me. But I know I'm not like that. You know, and that's fine. So that acceptance to criticism. Be like, oh, you're like this. Be like, how well do you know me again?
Yes.
You know?
How long have we been together? Do you know me?
Yeah. So people say a lot of things, and I've triggered a lot of people that way. Like they'll say something to me, I'll be like, right. How long do you know me again? I'm like, listen, you see what I want you to see. You don't spend 24 hours with me. It's that inner circle which matters. They know how you are. And that's what matters. You know, you are a good son. That's what matters. Not that you show you're a good son. You're a good partner. Your partner needs to know that.
Yeah.
They should acknowledge it. You don't need to go out and make a show of life. A private life is the best life. You know, because then there's so many things again, you know, the envy and all of these things are real. Law of attraction. These things are real energies, you know. People see positive energy. Sometimes they just can't believe that. How are you so positive now?
True.
I might be going through, like my dad had a kidney failure recently. Before that, my mom had a heart attack. And if people saw me, they wouldn't be able to tell what's going on in his life. Oh, everybody's so busy. Everybody's so busy. Mate, takes 3 seconds to reply a message. Nobody's so busy. I'm doing so many things. I'm studying. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. Even then, I'm being social.
It's a matter of priorities. Yeah.
It's, in a way, I think it is. It is priorities if you think, because see, if somebody's not, like that thing, right? If somebody's with you and they're always on their phone and they're suddenly not replying to you, like, what? Doesn't make sense. How is that? So I think it's priorities. Yeah. I think it's more interests.
Yeah.
It's more about interest. If you have a personal interest in them, or if there's something of
serve a purpose.
Yes. Yeah. Suddenly they're important. They're important and they're interesting and they're your priority. But the moment that purpose is finished, done, Houdini, gone, disappeared. So there's so many things. And then again, all of these things, they come from discipline. It's repetitive, you see. It's repetitive. It's habit. If we're friends because we respect each other. We agree to disagree. There might be 10 things we agree upon. There might be 10 things we don't agree upon. Yet we sit together. We eat the same food. We drink together. We do so many things together. We live life together. But we don't shove our opinions down each other's throats.
True.
And that's fine.
Reza, where are you now in life and where are you going?
I think I'm
in the journey, let's say, of your story.
I look at life in a very funny way. I'm waiting for life to begin, and life begins at 40. Why I say that?
For some people, like, this is where usually life ends, in a sense, but that's a very interesting perspective. I need to hear about it.
Yeah, because life begins at 40. Now, how and why I think that is because 0 to 10, still children. We don't know anything. Correct. Still absorbing, maybe parents, this, that, blah, blah. Learning. 10 to 20, still learning, right? Still trying to understand.
Sure.
It's the majority of the people. Correct. 20 to 30, now you're finally somewhere. Cool. Now, so that is the 0 to 10. The download period has started of real life interactions.
True.
Cool. 30 to 40, you've settled in somewhere. Now you're growing. You're understanding. You're taking tough decisions. You lost a dear one. You lost a job. Had a car crash. Parents died.
True.
Went through a divorce. Something other. Real life decisions. When you're 40, you're there. You've understood if you're competent enough. You've understood, and now life begins. So now you're a better human, better at decision making. You're doing so many more things. You're a bit ruthless in your decision making. You're more responsible. So there's so many things which creep in.
Yeah.
When you're climbing the ladder. Let's say, okay, fine, not 40, let's say 35 onwards. So life, the dynamic of life changes. Maybe you become a father. Maybe you lose a child. So you see, it rolls both ways. But when you're at 40, 100% you're a very different person than what you were at 20. Your mindset changes entirely. So you see, from 20 to 40.
It's like the structure building, let's say. The shaping of the gem, in a sense.
The more, like for example, a stone becomes smoother, the more it rolls.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. And for me, it's always been like, because my father got married at 40. So yeah, at 40. And then I was a very late child. So it's 46, my sister was born. 6 years later, I was born. So, 52. So I didn't see my dad. Usually what happens is children are growing with their parents.
Yeah.
Right? So both the child and the adult is growing up. For me, the dynamic was I was growing up while my father was growing old.
Yeah.
Totally different dynamic. So that teaches you many things. It does. Like for example, maybe the responsibility factor kicked in slightly sooner, even though I was very irresponsible. I was terrible. Yeah, with terrible decision making and everything. But eventually that obligation set in. You're like, listen, you need to take control of your life. Make better decisions. So it's a mindset. If I wouldn't think a certain way, I would still be like, oh yeah, it's all right. Just go out Friday night, live weekend to weekend, party, get drunk, wasted, done. That's life. Which is for many, unfortunately.
True.
But they're not going to agree to it. Because the societal norm. You see, even though everyone's doing it. But if you throw it in their face, suddenly they get offended.
True.
Because the acceptance level is so low. I still remember one of my friends, and we guys were having a great time, and I told him, chill, bro. And he turned around and he said, bro, you need to chill a bit less, Done a lot of chilling. How about you?
Chill a little bit less.
Yeah.
How did that affect you? How did that reflect on you?
Somehow, I don't know how, I've been, alhamdulillah, blessed, touch wood, to have really successful people around me. Had the exposure to study in a brilliant university. Had the opportunity to study there. Came across brilliant guys, some of whom I'm still in touch with. I saw them as being successful. And see, that healthy competition should be there in your mind.
Yeah.
Not envy. Healthy competition. You should be happy.
It's like in the market. Yeah.
That's how you grow, right? Pepsi was the best thing which happened to Coke. Correct. So similarly, your friend should be successful in his own way. And if you can pick up those good habits, brilliant. He's smart, well-dressed, sports person, And somewhere or the other, your minds meet. Somewhere they don't meet at all. And I think that is the beauty of life. So my friends, these guys, these gentlemen who I came across, some of them brilliant, well-spoken, well-dressed, everything, came from successful households. And those stories interested me. I wasn't interested in, for example, what your father does.
Yeah.
You're my friend, and that's what matters. Doesn't matter what background you're from. But for many people, that mattered which background I was from. So I instantly cut them off, stop socializing with them, and that's fine because you're in university. It's all right, doesn't matter. But these people, when we started, we became friends, and I saw their habits. I'm like, I think this is something that I should work on.
Yeah.
He likes to party, but he enjoys the party. You don't want to go home blacked out.
Yes.
Enjoy the moment. So you start learning, and it's up to you what you sort of absorb and what you don't, right? I could do a lot of stuff, but I chose not to. And then I would see these guys in control. So I understood, I was like, I have somebody in my own household to look at, so controlled, so disciplined. And then that sort of gives you that something in you snaps.
Yes,
You're like, all right.
Break.
Be like, all right, let's start changing things step by step. And step by step, we did. Step by step, became a better student. Step by step, became good at what I did, which was hard work. I'm not talented, zero talent. But I was a great personal trainer. 4.5, 5 years with my first job. Ended up being a fitness manager. Went into something totally different. Went into petrochemicals. Never knew about it. Operations manager. Because I sat down and I studied.
Yeah.
That shit is boring. Especially exposure to stuff, physics and chemistry, which you hate.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting and studying about it and learning additives, how they make a certain specification. What is viscosity? I was like, what is viscosity? I had
Googled what is viscosity.
Exactly, right? Yes. I was like, what is viscosity? And density of oil. And you came across a flashpoint. I never knew what that means. But then you put in the hard work through discipline, through a bit of, commitment. And every day you keep doing bits and pieces. Now, every day, if you're doing something for 15 minutes, you're already much further away from the guy who's doing 20 minutes, but every week.
Yeah.
So just do things, be consistent. I know it's going to be boring. You're not going to be filled with energy every day when you wake up. Impossible. But your discipline is going to make you keep going.
True.
You can wake up one day on the wrong side of the bed and you just don't want to do anything. But you keep your mouth shut, you man up, and you go finish your responsibility.
Just do it, yeah.
You have that moral obligation to do a responsibility which you're given. That's what our fathers did. That's what our grandparents did. And look at us. Terrible. Terrible partners. Terrible parents.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's unfortunate. However, if you do understand that how bad you are, then suddenly you know what you can fix.
And speaking of consistency, let me give you an example. Do you see the freezer over here?
Yeah.
Like every day I wake up. Every morning I have the same conversation in my mind. Like, why do I need to go? No need for it today. But in my mind, I'm like, let me just go through it. Every day I wake up. After I wake up, I jump immediately in it. And every day I have the same conversation that I don't need to do it today. So speaking of, it's not about doing something that is comfortable. Just like doing it for the sake of, let's say, consistency, because later on, it's going to be good for you. Like, this vision for the future. Like now, true, it's not comfortable, but hey, maybe it might serve me well later. Just like, let's say, building muscles. It's not comfortable. It takes dedication, sacrifice.
Studying. Any process which is worth it is not comfortable.
Yes.
Any process which is worth it. Being married, studying, making a physique, anything, making a building, making anything, whichever, the moment you're outside your comfort zone, you're growing. It's a paradox we live in.
Yeah.
We can't grow if we're comfortable. It's that simple. Diamonds are not made. They're made under extreme pressure.
True.
Extreme pressure. So, but people misinterpret those things. Like, oh, why do you need to go do an ice bath? Be like, nobody's forcing you. I'm doing it for myself.
Yeah.
Why do you need to become, so big in physique? Well, why do you need to study so many qualifications?
Yeah.
I want to do it surely for myself because I like my mind to be busy.
Yeah.
I want to be challenged. I want somebody to come up to me and be like, oh, ask me a question. I'm like, let me get back to you on this.
Yeah.
I don't know it. Let me just let me do some reading. I'll come back for it. Some people just go like, oh, why are you asking these questions? You see the difference in the attitude.
Yeah.
The consistency. Because they don't want to, because they know in their heart and mind and soul that they cannot be so consistent. So then they start throwing shit on people that, oh, you know what? That's not worth it. It's useless. Oh, what do you get out of it? Oh, you going to the gym one day, you're going to lose the body. Yes. I need to go to the washroom every day. It doesn't mean that I sit in there and I stop living life. I'm still eating food. I'm still doing so many things. But what you just said means that just because one day I'm going to lose it all, that means I shouldn't do it.
Just like life. We know that we're going to die one day. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't live it.
Exactly. I'll be like, oh, but many people don't like, taking up that responsibility because everything comes with a responsibility. Or they want to be led. And then again, because societal norms, they're like, oh, because you're a man, you shouldn't be led by a woman. Why not? If she's strong enough, she's competent enough, cool. Either you be that competent one. Either don't complain or be the competent one. Simple. And to be the competent one requires hard work, discipline, commitment, motivation. You need to motivate yourself. You need to wake up and be like, all right, let's do this. Nobody's going to tell you that. Those days are gone when you were in school. Those days are gone. And see, maybe our schooling, I'll be very honest. I feel that I think we are very near.
I'm 30 years old.
Wow. So you're younger than me. I'm 34. Cool. So we come from the same age group. Our school was still so much easier. Teachers would motivate us. Man, I'm sure our parents and their parents, teachers didn't give a shit.
Cool.
Because I saw that attitude when we were in university and our lecturers, and some of them I was very close with, and they would share stories. And they'd be like, we still give you these good marks and blah, blah, grace work. And no, there was no such thing. Either you're good or you're not. And that's fine. But now if you say that to a child, he'll probably sit down and start crying and he'll feel bullied.
True.
So that's bad. That's not good. You should go to school and get bullied. It's okay. I understand it's not something nice.
But it shapes you. It shapes you for the hard life because life is not easy.
Exactly. It's not. You'll be exposed to so many things. Ragging in university, people get ragged. That, they get made fun of and bullied and everything. Go to armies. Go to sports teams. There's stories of Cristiano Ronaldo, XYZ, so many athletes. And not just now. It's been going on for a time. But that's what builds strong character, a resilient mindset. Be like, it's all right. You can say anything. It doesn't matter. It's all right. Oh, you're funny. And then you start reacting to them in a sarcastic manner, which they can't take any longer because you learn a way to handle it. For many people, it doesn't work. I understand. It's not easy for everybody, which is cool, which is respectful, because not everybody, again, if you start thinking that everybody is going to be the same, that's unfair to them. And it's fine. Some people are more emotional and you respect it. But then it's good to be emotional, brilliant. You need to have your shit under control. You can't be having emotional reactions to everything. That's not right. You're an emotional person, brilliant. But stop throwing and start hiding behind that same trait of yours. Then I can't talk to you. We can't sit and have a conversation because I know you're going to react. Then we're not having a conversation. Maybe you can find like-minded people. But that's not me. And that's cool. And that's when you have to let go.
True.
Because you need to. So you see, everything is so interconnected. Everything, your moral obligations, your life, your habits, your discipline, the way you want to grow. Even when you're young, when you're in school, you're being bullied and stuff. You can go complain to your parents, or you can do something about it. You can snap and, I don't know, get violent with the person in question. You can complain to your teacher. And then now see, what's going to start happening is you're going to start depending on others to solve problems around you. Okay.
You're going to be looking for the safety raft.
And it's unfortunate that, many people might feel offended. But then you started shaping that, you started leaning on to others from a very young age. And that can cause you issues when you grow up. Because all of a sudden you're in a situation, you're like, oh, boss, can you? They're like, no.
Yeah.
Find a solution. And then all of a sudden you're brain fog. You're like, oh, what am I going to do? That's fine. They're followers. You need them. It's part of society. Part of society. So you need people calling the shots. You need people following those shots.
Yes. Yes.
Because if everyone's calling shots, disaster.
True.
And if everyone's following, disaster. Because then you might be following right people, you might be following wrong people. And it happens, and that's fine as well, because there's always two sides to a coin. Sometimes it's not right. Sometimes it's not in your control. You have to go with it. Sometimes, like for example, I'll tell you a story later after the podcast. So there's so many things that for the same situation, in a certain scenario, you react a certain way. And the same situation can be handled a little bit differently, in a different way. So it's just how you understand and gauge the situation. So you see now self-awareness and situational awareness creeps in. I can have a explosive reaction. Oh, wow. Now suddenly nobody wants to deal with me anymore.
Yes.
And I can take a deep breath, calm down, change my tone of voice, have a better posture, change my body language. Tone of voice makes a massive difference. So getting the message across. Now I can start shouting things at you and I can tell, brother, how was your day, man?
Yeah.
The warmth, instant connotations, everything matters. Some people don't know how to talk. They might have great intentions, but they just don't know how to get the message across. And it's fine. They're fine as well. It's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. But in society, we've made those categories.
We categorize them, yeah.
So it's interesting. Life is interesting. Like there's so much to life. There's so much to learn. There's so many people you come across, so many situations you come across. I hope they're positive most of the time. But people need to go through more negative situations in order to grow and handle things better, which in these days is not there. There's a lot of ease in life. Which I love enjoying, trust me. I'm sure we were sitting there in an AC, brilliant.
Very comfortable then,
Brilliant. Everything is so nice, cozy, comfortable. You need to appreciate the good things. Expose yourself to some harsh thing.
Yeah.
Go get hit in the face. Go do kickboxing. Get punched in the face a couple of times. Do that. It'll change your mindset to control yourself. Yeah. So put yourself, expose yourself, jump off, do the skydive thing.
Yeah.
Get that thrill. Feel what that adrenaline feels like.
Yeah.
Get into a fight. Well, don't get into a fight, but maybe in a controlled environment. I don't know. Go for kickboxing classes or something. So, expose yourself to
danger in a sense.
You need to.
Yes.
You need to. And that builds. Now you see the people from just our generation, you'll see there's clearly two different types. There's people who are soft, but they might have great minds. Amazing. Great. Totally different mindset. They think you shouldn't even go to the gym.
Yeah.
Works for you. That works for you. You're living life. I'm sure you live a long life. Brilliant. But it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
I like to put myself through the torture of a diet and hard work. And I'm fine with that. That's my comfort zone. I'm comfortable in being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Question me. My boss sometimes asks questions for her, it might be a totally normal tone. I'll be like, oh shit, did I mess up? And then I'll realize like, no, I'm overthinking. This is totally fine. So sometimes you need to know how to think. You need to know how to react to things. Some people don't know how to react. Some people don't know how to think. Some people can't get the message across. And that everything coming together is life. Mingle with different people, understand different people, talk to them, sit down, look at them, observe them. Two people will react totally differently to the same news.
Sure.
One might be really happy, but he's so composed through his upbringing that he'll just give you a smile. One might be ecstatic. And that's fine. You accept that. But you can't accept just because you're ecstatic.
Yeah.
You can't expect the other person to be jumping around like a fool. That's his way of expressing. And that's fine. I talk a lot. My best friend doesn't talk a lot. Still best friends.
That's the beauty of life.
That's the beauty of life. I've done everything wrong in life. He's a fucking saint. And we're great friends.
I think that this diversification of people, mentalities, life, paths, growth, like they shape the beauty of life in a sense.
The acceptance to the difference. The acceptance to the difference. Be like, yes, he's different, you're different, and we're still good mates. Because we agree to disagree. We respect each other's thoughts.
Yeah.
There's another lovely friend of mine. He's in Canada. Doesn't drink, doesn't smoke. We decided we'll smoke a cigar when he graduates his MBA. And he was a man of his word. Smoked a cigar with us. So, and he's never smoked in his life. He didn't touch a cigarette again in his life. And it's fine. You don't need to force somebody to do what you do.
Yeah.
I have friends, younger brothers and stuff. And even when we were younger, slightly, we'd be sitting, doing whatever. And people would force the other guys in the group to, have a drink, have a smoke. And I tell them, don't force them. And as it is, we're doing something which is messed up, which is not something nice. Why do you want to sort of involve them? Yeah. Now, see, that was my mindset of a moral obligation and awareness of the situation, that you shouldn't do that. Because my conscience wouldn't allow that. Maybe he didn't want anything bad as well. Yeah. It was a very genuinely funny, friendly thought. But the thought process was different.
Yes.
I felt differently. And he didn't mean any offense either.
Yeah.
Because we're just friends. We're still friends today. But then they say that I think a lot. I have a very philosophical approach to many things. Probably, I don't know. But this is how I look at things in life.
Yeah.
That, be uncomfortable. It's fine. If somebody, says something to you, don't react. You'll feel bad. It's okay. You'll feel bad. You're supposed to feel bad. It's human nature. Feel bad. Take it on your chin. It's okay. You're not gonna be good at everything you do.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's all right. You won't achieve things at the pace of other people. You're not in a race against anybody. You're in a race with yourself. How fast can you improve yourself from the guy you were yesterday?
Yes.
Not anybody else. Stop looking. There was something great when I used to do dragon boating, and there was something really nice. I came across this term, heads in the boat.
Heads in the boat.
Heads in the boat. Because when you're doing that dragon boat thing, there's 22 of you or 18 of you, and then the next boat is right next to you. And if you look at them, it'll break your rhythm. It'll break those 22 of you rolling in sync. The moment you focus on that guy's rhythm, it's going to mess up. Now that one person, you messing up the rhythm, affects everyone. The entire rhythm of the boat. So we used to say heads in the boat. And I started using that term to most things in life. Heads in the boat means focus. Have that
I love it.
Tunnel vision. Heads in the boat. And then I realized that, they put those things on the horses for a reason. Because the moment it sees what's next to it, it'll lose its rhythm. You don't want it to get distracted. You don't want to get yourself distracted. If you're focusing on something, focus. Put in your 100%. Don't look at somebody else's 100%. Look at your 100%. Are you truly putting in the effort? You go to the gym, your body's not changing. You're putting in the effort, but you're not entirely putting in the effort. Why? Because you're not following a diet.
Yes.
Let's call it a healthy lifestyle. Okay. So you're not following a healthy lifestyle. Or maybe you're doing a very healthy lifestyle, but you don't want to go to the gym. Or it's not gym. Let's change that. Do any physical activity.
Yes.
Go out. Go for a run. Do push-ups. I don't know. Do something. Do horse riding. Okay, horse riding is not everybody's cup of tea. Excuse me. So you can do some form of physical activity.
Yeah.
But you want to sit and complain and say that.
And expect results.
And expect results. It's not going to happen. It's never happened for anybody. Never happened for anybody. But you see the final result and you say, I can be like that. Bismillah, you can. But you need to do that first step. Take it and then consistent.
Yeah.
Take that step every day. It's going to be boring. It's going to be challenging. You might think you don't have time. Honestly, I respect people who say that, they don't have time. And
I've been in their place.
yeah, you go like, yes, and I understand what you mean, because there's a meaning behind that you don't have time is you're not motivated enough.
Yes.
There's so many things in that one line that I don't have time. You don't have the interest. You don't have the motivation. You're not ready to take up that responsibility.
Yes.
And yes, you might be
You're
busy.
not ready to sacrifice other things.
Because you know it's going to come at a
cost. Yes.
So, it's suddenly everything links up. And in that one word which they'll say, they're like, oh, I don't have time. We're like, I understand. It's all right. But if it's important to you, you'll find a way. If it's not, you'll find an excuse. So you need to say things that will trigger them in the right way. You don't want to offend them because then they'll be further demotivated.
Yeah.
It can be in work. It can be in studies. It can be anywhere. It can be your partner. It can be your children. If you see them doing something wrong, I can beat the shit out of them, which is wrong. Which is
just saying.
Yeah, which is wrong. But then let's just say that the best of the best in every generation came through a firm hand.
It's not true.
Middle Eastern parents, Asian parents.
Yeah.
Let's just slap the shit out of your children.
Yes.
But then these are the same children which are the Tatas and the Birlas and yeah. And yes, okay, you have the Jeff Bezos and everything. That's a different society. It's cool. And see, there's nothing wrong. That society is functioning as well. This society is functioning as well. Different approaches to life.
Yeah.
But then you find the successful people have similar foundations.
Yes.
Similar foundations. They'll have something very similar and, of course, very diverse as well. But it's based on those similarities. People say that, oh, yes, I can become successful because Newton dropped out of college. You're not Newton. The competency levels aren't matching. Like people often easily impressionable, right? They'll see something and they'll be like, oh, I can do that. And then they'll give random examples which are out of context. He did it. They're like, but you don't know the backstory, how he did it. Because he had that fire burning within him. We often, obviously, we've seen that our parents, they would give us stories that, oh yeah, I studied under a, lamp. Great, because you didn't have light at that time. I totally respect that. Because that was the only way you guys were studying back then, which is great.
Yeah.
But then sometimes they expect us to be like them. Which is, again, it's fine, it's acceptable to a point where it's not affecting your growth. Parents need to understand that. Mine did. I'm glad. It took some time. And then they realized that, he's a different person. He's a different person. And Dad said this, something very interesting. He was like, it's fine. As long as you understand what you want to do in life, don't wrong anyone. Don't wrong anyone. If you do something bad, keep it to yourself. Don't involve people. You have a bad habit, that's fine. It's between you and your God. Do it for yourself. Don't involve people. Don't let it affect others in your life.
Yeah.
So certain things you learn through speech. Certain things you learn the hard way. Through bad actions, the repercussions of bad actions. So you might, do drugs, go to jail. You learned it the hard way. Now, if somebody's smart, he'd see it and he'd be like, nah, mate, I'm not going to do that. No, not worth it. So again, some people take the risk. Oh, I did this. You're like, there's nothing to be proud of.
Yeah.
There's nothing. Do you realize the amount of people you would put in jeopardy through that one silly action of yours? Carelessness. It's good to see people, again, coming down to how to think. People think that, oh, I'm going to be brash and I'm going to be rude and I'm straightforward. No. It's good to be brash, but see, it's good to know when to be brash. Just because you know how to fight does not mean you go out picking fights. Just because you have a gun does not mean you go out and start shooting people.
Yes.
That is self-discipline. You need to know and gauge the situation when and where. You need to do what and say what and think what. So it's very deep. It's not just... Many people do this. Unknowingly, they're very good at, gauging situations and stuff. They've not studied all of this. And at the same time, there's certain people, they'll have these brash reactions. They're like, why is everything wrong happening? We're like, maybe because your decisions and reactions, it sort of comes around. You be nice and people would be nice to you. You don't have to be a people pleaser.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a people pleaser. You can be very straight, yet not be disrespectful. You can be assertive. You can get your point across. You can change the way you look at people. Make that eye contact. There's so many things. Your faces and your eyes express so much, but you just need to know how to. You can't look at a child and start talking to them angrily. They're going to repel.
Yeah.
Because your energy became negative. Keep that positive energy. Be approachable to people. You might come across tons of terrible people who want to use you.
True.
And that's fine.
True.
You can't be protective all the time. This is the fake illusion that, you're never going to come across bad people. Oh, trust me, if you never come across bad people, you'll never grow.
True.
Never.
You have to hit a wall someday. You have to hit a wall.
You have to come across bad people. You have to... Maybe they're your own.
Yeah.
Family, friends, and that's fine. This thing that it's fine. It happens. It happens. It will happen. Be ready for it. Be prepared for it. Mentally, get it, stuff it in your head.
Yeah.
That things will happen wrong. Doesn't mean that you're stressed all the time.
Yeah.
No. Big, again, misconception. People think that, oh my God, I'm always thinking about something wrong to happen. I'm always prepared. I'm always on edge. No. You need to be in the ability to handle a situation.
Yeah.
For example, have savings. You're not going to worry if you're going out of a job. You have savings. You're prepared for it. I don't know, get into an accident. You're prepared for it. How? Because you're living in a lovely place. Yeah. You can go to a nice hospital. Be careful if you're in a rural place. Be careful. Don't get into an accident.
Yes.
Be careful. So don't put yourself in situations. And if you're putting yourself into a situation, be prepared for the repercussions.
Know the repercussions.
Yeah. Be prepared. Doesn't mean that you live in stress. Be prepared.
Managing expectations, in a sense. Manage your, let's say, the outcome of the action which you're going to take, in a sense.
It might be good, it might be bad. But be prepared for good news. Be prepared for bad news. And it's fine. If it's good, brilliant. If it's not good, maybe you can improve it. Yes, emotionally it takes a toll. Yes, it only you and your God and your home team knows what you go through. And see, people have these three faces, right? One is for the outer circle.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. At work, friends, colleagues, acquaintances. We're sitting here today. Complete strangers.
Yeah.
Inner circle. Family, friends, wife, maybe best friend.
Mm-hmm.
He knows you a lot better than many. And then there's the final phase, which only you know.
Yourself.
You will never share. You will never share those things with your family, with your friends, with anybody. No matter how much anybody says, trust me. No matter how much anybody says that they are open and everything, they might be. But the fact of the matter is that you're not supposed to share that last phase with anybody. It's just between you and your God. You know what stuff you've done. You know what's in your mind. And only your God knows that. That's it. And that acceptance of not knowing what's happening in your mind makes life that, it's fine. I don't know, but I expect you. Life is based on hope. That I hope that things will be fine. I hope tomorrow we don't crash and burn. I hope. Life is based on hope. When you work with a person, when you hire an employee, how do you know that he's going to be a nice person? Because his word. You hope You expect, and he turns out to be terrible.
Yes.
That's why when people say, first impression is the last impression, no. First impression, if the first impression was the last impression, people would not be getting terminated or fired. Best friends wouldn't break up. Families wouldn't break. So first impressions are not the last impressions. First impression is just maybe you met somebody in a good mood. That's the first impression. Maybe you saw somebody from a different view.
Yes.
And he was having a tough day. Is that the first impression? Speaks nothing about the person. You don't know the person. So it takes time. Maybe you might come across people. The funny thing, me and my childhood friend, we fought the first day we met.
Yeah.
In school. We got into a fight. We've been with each other, since 24 years. But you see, the first impression is not the last impression. There are certain people who I thought were great people. They were far from it. Far from it. But then as humans, we make that mistake because we're gullible.
Yeah.
To a certain point. All of us are gullible. Because we get emotionally pulled in. We get emotionally allured to an illusion. And what we expect, we think that we see it in the other person, and we get pulled in. And then when that illusion sort of
fades,
you're like, oh, shit, what did I get myself into?
Yes.
But then to be prepared for that, something wrong might happen. That's life. That's totally fine. That, yes, something wrong will happen. And it's okay. You need to accept it. If you think that you're going to be immortal, it's never going to happen. If you think nothing wrong is going to happen, that's never going to happen. We can prolong or delay the effect. How? Let's find relation. You're in a relation. Brilliant. If you stop putting in the effort every day, it's going to slip up. Because there's this catalyst. The small things people stop doing. In life, in work, in health, in learning. So you see, your entire life is based on certain pillars. And the moment one pillar breaks, all of a sudden the foundation becomes you start getting stressed. There's so many things are starting to go out of your control. You don't need to necessarily be a person who can control everything. You want to be in control, which is good. You want to be in control of a situation. Cool. Don't be a narcissist. Don't try to control a situation which you can't control. If you can, there's a certain way to control, through respect, through manners, through etiquettes, So you need to be able to get the message across. For example, you're my manager. You ask me, be like, oh yeah, Rez, do you get that done? Be like, yeah, I'll tolerate it once, twice, thrice. Third time I'll be just like, yeah, whatever. But then you go like, oh yeah, you remember we were talking about that? Suddenly, same thing you're saying, change tone of voice. I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? Let me look into this. I'll get it done for you. No issues. The way you get the message across with your parents, with your partner, with your children, makes a big difference. I worked in a team. I was a team captain for a very long time. And it's man management, right? You have to handle every single guy on the team differently. You can't talk to the guys the same way. Some people like the chaos. You need to be on their level. You need to match that level in order to get the message across. Some people, if I talk to them in a high energy, in a high level of energy, they'll go into their shell. Yeah, they'll go into their shell. With them, you change the way you're getting the message across. Then there's some guys who are on ecstasy, and you need to match that energy. So, they feel motivated. Same thing goes in a team. Same thing goes in a family. Same thing. Like, for example, I can always be a very high energy person. My friend, he can't take that. He will eventually say that, you're like, bro, I can't keep up with this shit. And you need to calm down a bit. You have to respect that. So you need to know that you need to stop being a master at one because you are always full of energy. Good for you. good for you, you're full of energy, but soon your blessing will become your curse.
Man, thank you so much. Like, this has been a wonderful conversation.
Pleasure.
Like, I came in with a heavy mind and it just branched out to a lot of beautiful things. I can't thank you enough for your time. And I wish to see you there in the future. Maybe we're going to have another episode if you're looking forward.
Pleasure. It would be my pleasure.
Very appreciate your time. Great communication. Thanks so much.
Pleasure. That was my pleasure, man. Honestly. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cheers, man.